Welcome back to the Better Earth Podcast. We've got Eric Sebastian Frank here, our SX manager, and one of the people that's been here since day one, Better Earth, been in solar pre-Better Earth. An amazing story, an amazing individual. I refer to you as our glue guy because we wouldn't be able to do a lot of what we do without you, particularly in the growth department and the dealer side, which I work in. So, Eric, welcome to the podcast. We're super excited to have you.
What's up, Ty? What's up, Trace?
What's up, man?
Honored to be here. So thank you guys for having me on here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, welcome to Tampa. You went to Florida State, so you're kind of back at home here in Florida.
Yep.
Give us a little kind of a story of what you're doing. Like, what does your day look like today, and then we'll walk it back all the way to your start. But what are you doing right now for us here at Better Earth?
Yep. So today I work in the sales experience departments. I work mainly with sales reps on a day-to-day basis, where we help them with just their overall experience with onboarding, making sure they have all the tech and the tools and everything to make sure that they're onboarded properly. They know how to sign up deals. They can push projects forward. And then we also help with some of their project management at the end of it to make sure that the jobs are moving forward, getting installed, getting paid. And then ultimately, if we can do a good job with that, the reps will have a very positive experience. And I think that's super important, because if the reps really enjoy what they're doing, then they will give the positive experience vibe and energy to the customers, and they're going to want to, one, just enjoy being with Better Earth, two, being a better customer, three, leaving good reviews, and then lastly, the best of all, referrals, because referrals, they are free.
They're free. Exactly. Yeah, I know, Trace and I talk about this a lot, and we've talked about this a lot too. It's at Better Earth, we have basically two brands. One is the best place to go solar if you're a homeowner. The second is the best place to sell solar as a sales rep or a sales owner. But the sale is just the start of really the experience. Take us through kind of how many times you're interacting kind of with people during the deal, because we're in construction, there's permitting, there's inspection, there's all sorts of stuff that can go wrong, and we're here to make it right at Better Earth, make it a seamless experience, and you're kind of the fixer of Better Earth. If it's Pulp Fiction, you'd be the wolf, basically. So your team's kind of like our black ops team that helps everything get done correctly and go fast, so we get glass on the roof for the homeowner, so it turns on, and we get our salespeople paid quickly and well, and be able to ask for those referrals because the experience was great. So give us a little bit of, how this team has grown and how you've kind of seen your experience as a sales rep prior to working in sales experience, and like now being on the other side, how useful is what you're doing now for the Eric of the past that was a sales rep?
Yeah, so to kind of go like full circle, when I think about this, it's like, when I first started, I've been in solar for coming up on 5 years now, and when I started, there was never really like a place to go to see all of your projects. When I first started, it was just a whiteboard on the wall. I had two of them. I wrote out all of my customers. I wrote out when I had appointments, when they were sitting, the status of them. It got to too much where I couldn't put them on whiteboard, so I had to go into Excel, and then there was just a bunch of like manual moving and tracking, and it wasn't like automated, and it was very difficult for me to like keep on top. Like, it was almost like literally a full-time job to keep everything organized. So now it's, instead of like reaching out to the installers, calling them about permitting, trying to find a different phone number for PTO, et cetera, it's like it's all in one place. And Trace has done a really good job, and our whole tech team has done a really good job on consolidating everything to put it in one place. So it's an easier like one-stop shop for reps to see their projects, have visibility, get those updates, and then where I kind of come into place is where that line of communication between the sales reps with the operations team. So if there's anything specific about that project that they can't find out themselves, then that's where the team comes in. They help answer any questions, relay any information over to the sales reps or to the operations team. And I'm sure you can talk more about the tech and everything, but with customers and with reps, they get messages every single day if they're missing information, if the project is moving forward, if it's in holding, and they get text statuses on each project when it does move forward. So for me, if I had that back then, it would be a lot easier, so I wouldn't have to spend literally like hours each day just like managing pipelines, and then spending days where it's just following up and just getting those deals that you have signed to install, which was always a very important thing. You can't just sell a deal and just hope that it gets there. You need to actually push to get it there. And I think the biggest thing is if we can take that time and make that hands off for the sales reps, I think ultimately that will drive the experience overall with whether it's an internal rep or a dealer, where they're going to be able to, one, sell more deals, and then secondly, if it is part of a dealer, for them to want to push more deals through with us versus other companies that have more of a hands-on approach.
Yeah, I know it's been a huge selling point and interest point for, people internally in our team, externally, to see kind of the tech that Trace has built with Scoreboard and Pangea, which might be coming soon. And most people just want to be able to see everything. They want to know and see and be involved. And I think with what we're trying to do in SX and what Trace is doing on the marketing side, on the tech side, is we want you to be able to see everything, but we don't want you to have to do everything. We want to give you that experience, that you have that peace of mind that the company that you're working with, you can trust do our job. Trace, talk a little bit about how your side of things is interacting with what Eric is building and now Jarrell is building and Dean's building on the experience side.
Yeah, man, I think the biggest thing is like what we talk about a lot is proactive communication versus reactive communication. So that was really where like SX and CX really born, and all of these notifications that go out, right? Sales reps get a notification every single stage. Hey, permits have been submitted. They've been delivered. Install scheduled, etc. Also, when things kind of fall out of, the mainstay pipeline, where Eric's team, chimes in quite a bit, which is like, hey, we're still missing a utility bill and these things are ready for install, right? And we're trying to get ahead of everything, so it doesn't get to install scheduled. We don't have a utility bill, and this is the first time the sales rep or the customer is like hearing that we need this, right? So we had an issue when we were, growing, of just having to be really reactive to everything. Like we're always kind of playing catch up. So the kind of birth of this whole kind of communication style was like, okay, how do we preemptively kind of warn and get ahead of the communication so everybody knows what's going on, everybody's on the same page. And I think the notifications and everything that we've done in the department that's being built out with Eric are kind of the start of that. And then obviously, yeah, with like the launch of Pangea coming very soon, the goal is consolidation and simplification, right? There's 27 steps or whatever there is in, Eric's world of post-sale solar. There's a ton of steps before. We have 3 or 4 different softwares, tools that sales reps have to onboard to and learn and everything. And so, the goal this year, now that we kind of have the proactive communication steps as far as like we know what to say to you when and why, now it's basically putting that into one consolidated kind of CRM experience so you can actually just do everything in one place. That way when you get that notification, it's really easy to go and get a change order done or upload your utility bill or approve your SOW or whatever the thing you need to do in that given project at that moment is showcased to you right there, and it's a really seamless experience to just get it done so we can push projects faster.
Yeah, and I think one of the things once you have all these tech and tools is convincing the people to use them and learn and educate on them, which is I think an exciting thing for us to do because a lot of the things they never had, they've got at their fingertips, and now if we can teach them to use them better, we'll convince them and convince others to kind of join our mission at Better Earth and show them there's a better way. One thing I wanted to ask you, Eric, is like, even with all the tech and tools, like obviously we get tickets, we get better advisor calls, we're doing SOW, approval calls. What's been the stickiest part of SX? What's our current stickiest part, and what are we currently doing to kind of make that better?
Yeah, so I think the biggest struggle that we are currently going through is just the communication and the intake of tickets. Our current system is kind of all over the place, where it's not like one centralized place to get updates as far as like submitting documents, change orders, feedback, like updating the project details, things like that. Also just getting updates on the customer, the project in general. So it's something that we're obviously aware of the issue, and then secondly, we are being very proactive with creating a new system that links directly into our CRM, which will help mitigate the back and forth on getting the customer's name and the ID. We can't find it, whatever. It's that stuff it's annoying, but it's also unnecessary. So if we can get everything into one platform that's able to be integrated and have everything that a lot easier to get texts sent to reps and receive them back, and being able to like finish those like communication cycles, I think is super important, because right now like we do our best. If like I'm not going to show you guys what it looks like because it's way too confusing on how it all works, but it's not like a text where it's everything in one thread. For us, it's like multiple different threads with the same person with different projects. So it's hard for us to manage everything and having all the text come into it. So long story short, working on a way to be able to get all that communication into one platform where it's easier for us to see previous comments and questions and tickets about that specific customer. And we can see that history of, one, not only just a project, but two, what that rep has reached out for and when, like what specifically it was about. So if it was in holding, for whatever reason, what we did, moved out of holding. If they reached out because of like an SOW thing, okay, this at one point they were curious about the SOW, now it's fine, and then so on and so forth. So that's our biggest thing. We are like taking massive action on getting that completed. So hopefully soon we have something that's way more robust and a lot easier, a lot better user friendly and everything. So something that we are working on.
Yeah, I mean it's a symptom of like growth, right? Because when you only have, let's say, 30, 50, or even 100 projects like going through in a month, like having those kind of one-to-one relationships with sales reps or customers or whatever, like there's not that many problems, right? You have 100 projects to deal with, maybe 70 of them are perfect. It's only 30 things. But when you're managing hundreds of sales reps, thousands of customers, it's where, 30 becomes 300 very quickly, which is where kind of what kind of Eric's saying, where you have to like really kind of dial in each piece, which is why, a big focus this year is like in-housing software, because like honestly, like what's out there with how unique kind of like the solar stack is, especially as an installer and as a sales organization, which is a unique thing that we do, probably that
an installer that really appreciates the sales side, because we're very savvy on that side of things.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's not like an out-of-box solution. It's not like, just like go get on Salesforce and like
this isn't open up a restaurant and you got 20 softwares to choose from. They all do pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's numbers and color, whatever it is. It's simple.
Yeah, it's not choosing versus like Square versus Toast or something. Yeah, there's not a lot out there that's just like plug and play. And we've made it work pretty well. Everything's pretty dialed and automated and everything, but we're still bouncing between, 3 or 4 different systems that we have to use and kind of fit our process within the box of someone else's world, which is why it's really fun that we're so close to kind of this Pangea launch and like taking everything in-house, because it opens up a whole world of opportunity that, we can do some really just interesting things like customer portals, chat with customers, record-based chat for sales reps. So when Eric's talking about like change orders or SOWs and communication like not being linked to that project record, it's because that's in a different system than where they're actually doing their work. When we launch that, when you are talking about a customer, it will actually be in one consolidated interface. So the operations team knows that sales rep X is talking about customer Y, and it's all in one transaction log. It'll make it really, really simple for everything. And then there's a ton of features that you can build out just from that foundation.
Yeah, and what it kind of sounds like is, the beauty of the solar industry is also the challenge. It's like, this hasn't been really done before. Mm-hmm. We're doing it for the first time. We're building all of these things in-house because no one really does it the Better Earth way, which is going to be the maturation of the solar industry. We're going to set the standard everywhere here at Better Earth. And what that really tells me is like people are still so important compared to systems or SOPs or softwares. And that's where someone like Eric, who's literally done everything at Better Earth, sales, opened up offices, led teams, blitzes, trained you, took you on the doors, like having someone like Eric makes kind of the ability to grow possible, because you're able to help fix and understand, one, the mission, two, how it all works. Take us a little bit of like back when you started, like why'd you choose solar? Why'd you go out to California? And then what's kept you in it, and what's been interesting about coming over to the kind of the in-house employee side of things and really helping this thing grow?
Yeah, so I am originally from Buffalo, New York. I grew up there for like all through high school. Went to Florida State for college. Wasn't really sure what I like really wanted to do. I wanted to like be in finance. I saw like Wolf of Wall Street and like the original Wall Street movie with Gordon Gekko. I was like, dude, that's sick. Like I want to be on Wall Street, work with those guys. And when I first got to Florida State, I had a couple older roommates who were going through like the finance classes, and I'm looking at their homework. I'm like, dude, this looks way too hard. I'm like, I don't want to do this. So I was like, maybe I won't do that. Maybe I'll do like real estate or something. So I want to do real estate. Long story short, Florida State, bunch of fun. Got a really good college experience. I wouldn't be here if I didn't go to school, so I'm not going to like down talk school, but I didn't really learn too much. I didn't really like school at all. But I had a really good time there. I met Andrew Zambetti, one of the other co-founders. He's the one that got me into solar. So after Zambo graduated, he went out to California, started SunGrade Solar. About 4 months later, he hits me up. He's like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And at that point, I was either faced with, like, I've already failed a few classes at school. I'm like, I'm on a 5-6 year track to graduate with an actual degree that I don't really even know if I want to do. So it's like, yeah, maybe either go to California, start working, and just, like, worst case scenario, it doesn't work. I'm 20 years old. I go back to school. Or I just stay here and like don't do anything. So it's like, you know what, that sounds better. I'd rather do that. And came out to California. This was May 10th of 2017 when I officially moved to California. Started May 15th. I remember that day exactly. Monday, lived at Walnut Creek, walked over to the office, the Treat Towers, the good old Avalon. Yeah, I miss those days. And got started with SunGrade at the time. And that kind of grew into where like literally what I am now. So definitely wasn't like a lot of training. It was first day out of the doors. First day was 5 QLs. I closed my first deal in like I think 2 or 3 days. But at the time, like we're doing hard credit checks at the door, scheduling site surveys for like 1 or 2 days out where they go, get on the roof, do everything. We get a design back. We get one paper design of the design. And we go there selling a 95% offsetted system. And if the customer didn't like the design, then we got to go back to the office, get a new design, get that created, printed, go back in a couple of days to show them a new design. So that was always a fun objection to get over, the design objection. So that was like the original like push into like solar for me, like going through it the hard way. And I mean, like now even thinking about it, like I don't even know if reps could actually go out there and like do credit checks and schedule site surveys and stuff, but it's something that we did, and like we all were really, really good at it, and I think that we could do that today now. I just don't even think that's like even a thought because it's not like the ideal process. But yeah, that started my career. I did the 90-day blitz, very successful within the first 90 days. First month or two was like a little tough for me for closing because I was young out of school, like not confident whatsoever, and started closing deals like by myself. And then from there I was able to just grow. I started like help training. Me and Dean created our own training system. And the very first training class that we did was actually Trace's class. We had you, Shane, a couple, who else was in that one? That was like also
Eric, I think Maddie was in that.
Yep.
I think there was like 10 of us.
There's like 10 people, actually like really successful class. Dakota was there. Yeah, we had a lot of people that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of people in that.
Is that kid's name Omar? Mo?
Yeah, Mo, Drake. Yeah, we had
Drake.
We had a lot of people in that class, and that was actually like a really good, successful class that we helped lead, and that was my start of like training and helping people, and I've always was always interested in that because I've always wanted to level up and rise up, and the biggest the biggest advice for anyone at Better Earth is I never waited for someone to say, hey, Eric, like go ahead and create this training thing. I think you'd be good at it, and we need someone to step up and like do this. And I never waited for anyone to tell me that. And even with sales experience, I never waited for someone to say, hey, we need a sales experience position. Like, who's open for it? Like, I always just went after like the stuff that I saw we needed and things that we were lacking on. So Dean and I, we would go out knocking all day, come back home in our apartment. We had our little desks in the corner. We would work literally for like 2 hours, 3 hours at night just developing this training thing, went over it with with Sean and then another guy at the time just to like review everything for the training. Did a 2-week training period. And yeah, I mean, I kind of dove into that, like basically led it from yourself, me and Dean at that point, like doing it ourselves, like creating that position for ourselves. And that started training. And then at that point, every other week, every 2 weeks or every month we did new waves for training. So I probably trained over at least over 100 reps. And then later that year, I was faced with the position to move down to Los Angeles and run that office in LA. And I decided to do that. That started my journey into Southern California. So I was in Northern California for a year and a half, was in LA for about 6 months, went to Orange County for probably another 6 months, back to LA, back to Orange County, but really SoCal specifically. And SoCal is beautiful. I love SoCal and everything. I think Northern California is also super nice as well. But the dynamics between the two, they're a little bit different. But at the end of the day, it's still a really nice place. And yeah, super long-winded question,
it's okay, Frank. You can say you like SoCal more than NorCal.
Yeah, SoCal's nice.
I like SoCal more than NorCal as well. Weather's way better.
Yeah, weather's better. I think business though, as far as PG&E and other utility companies.
That's true. Knocking doors and working, NorCal is way better, and there's way less distractions. Yeah. I think you keyed on something really cool though. The fact that you're just like, yo, I saw a hole here, and I'm just going to go and solve the hole. And I'm just going to go be a problem solver, be solution-oriented, and just kind of get it done. I think that's Dean's story. It's my story as well, and I think that's one of the cooler things about, this company and this culture. So, because you get asked, I get asked, I'm sure you get asked too, like, oh, like, hey, like, I want to do, like, this for the company. Like, hey, can I? And my answer to people is always just like, yeah, just go do it. Like, just go be valuable. Like, go and, like, you got an idea, just go execute on it. Because that's exactly what I did. We had no marketing, anything. I was just like, I'm going to go do that. And I did that for free for 3 months. You kind of just created an apartment with SX. Dean did the exact same thing. And it's just like, it becomes overwhelming to be like, okay, this is the most valuable thing that any of these people could possibly be doing. And we've carved out a role. But I love that. I love that you didn't, like, ask for it. You just kind of took it. And then it was delivered back to you. And I think that's that's a great piece of advice for, I think, anybody that's trying to do anything, not just in Better Earth, but like in any job or career. Like, you just kind of got
in general.
Yeah, you just got to go and, like, you got something, like, you got to just go execute and don't ask for it. Just go take it.
You can't look for that reward like immediately. Like,
right.
For me with training, it wasn't like I'm going to do this and I am going to get override like right away. It's
right.
like there is an investment period where you are training, you are doing all this time, you are putting everything together, you're working with these reps, and then eventually that reward does come. Same thing with, like, sales experience. I haven't touched on that yet, but I think, like, February of 2021 was when I got, like, kind of into it, and then it wasn't, like, an official department until, like, July. So it was, like, 4 months of just, like, figuring it out, like, getting everything together, like, not getting paid, but yeah, I mean, just, like, putting everything together and, like, figuring out, like I said, I didn't get that reward until later. So
laying the groundwork though.
Yeah, you gotta build the foundation first.
Yeah, it was a lot of me bothering you about stuff, being like, yo, this is going to become a huge department at Better Earth. Like, let's start this thing, because we're getting back into the dealer world, and I needed a lot of help. And, like, Eric's always been, like, the easiest person to be like, yo, how do I do this? Or, hey, what do you think about this? Eric's available, like, way too much to everybody.
That's
but it's also
flaws.
Yeah, it's one of your flaws. Is one of your greatest strengths though too, is you like helping other people and kind of not just like winning yourself, but winning as a team. And I think at Better Earth we all have that mentality, and I know that comes across greatly in SX and with our dealer side, because now we've got over 30 dealers of, only a few people we've really met in person. We're learning how to communicate properly with all of these different leaders that run their sales orgs different ways. We've over 250 internal sales reps. We're growing crazy. And your department gets it from every angle, not just this team or this team, everybody. So we're constantly teaching, constantly helping, and trying to constantly, make the experience great as a builder, but we're busy every day. We're doing 30 deals a day. So it's hard to build and work. Tell us a little bit of how you're, balancing that being the builder and kind of the, creating this department while also working in it every day? Because you're still pretty much on call 24/7.
Yeah, so I am a lot on the phone. So like anytime that I mean, right now it's on Do Not Disturb, but try to like cut out a lot of the distractions. I read this book called The One Thing, and to basically summarize like a 300-page book, block out certain parts of your day to focus on one thing that will make you successful or get you further ahead in each area of your life. So if you're just focused on, let's just say, working out, what's the one thing that you could do today that's going to get you further ahead tomorrow just by doing that one action today? So is it eating right, or is it working out? Like, what's the one thing that you can do? Block that off on your calendar so you do that one thing. And I adopted that with work. So each day I always try to plan the week, but it's typically like the night before I plan my day so I can figure out exactly what I'm doing. I have a list of customers I need to follow up with, projects I need to work on, and then I go through my calendar and I block off certain times where I have calls specifically with the team or with reps, and then any free time I always try to block it off and just knock something off of that list. And I just literally write it in my calendar, like the one thing, the work list, and I just go through whatever on my list. I have it all on my phone, and I try to get through all those projects. I coordinate them and organize them as to what's the most important thing, like what needs to get done first. And as I go through that, and whenever I get that completed, like, makes me feel better. It's always nice to check that off of the to-do list, but it also just feels like good to get something done and build that momentum.
Yeah, and one of the other things on your list is you're now maybe not leading a sales team or teaching sales, you're teaching sales experience, and you're leading an ever-growing team on that side too. Give us a little bit of how that leadership has changed, kind of being an employee and running kind of an employee team versus a sales team, and what would someone kind of be able to look forward to that maybe wants to join the SX team or help your department grow? What does that experience look like working with Eric?
Yeah, so I think for me, like the biggest struggle going from like a 1099 to like a W-2 was probably like the HR stuff, just like what you're supposed to do and what you can't do. I'm still trying to like figure all of that out. But I mean, at the end of the day, like 1099 built my work ethics. So now I don't have any problems working more than, the 9 to 5, 40 hours a week. I do way more than that. But I think right now for me specifically, like the difference from sales and the difference from sales experience is, one, there's a lot that go into like the specific sale, and then like everything about the deal, which we always want to simplify it, but there's always like the one-off customers that are super in-depth, the engineers, whatever, and it's good to know all that other like nitpicky stuff. And then when you get into like the back-end portion of it, it's this whole other world with like permitting, change orders, like inspections, PTO, application, all this stuff. It's like, dude, this is hard. Like for a sales rep, so you think it's very easy to like push a project through and it gets installed, but the back-end process, if you actually look into it and you like thoroughly go through the actual process, it's like, damn, there's a lot of stuff that goes into this. So my biggest thing is when I do training, it's like I do 2 types of training with the team because we are working directly with sales reps. I want to be able to give them like that sales rep vibe where it's like you're working with a sales rep. So when sales reps come to us, it's almost like they're talking to me specifically or someone that's been in that position that can give them the easy answer, but also let them know exactly what's going on. And then also with the team, just making sure that they fully understand the full process of things, which does take a little bit to get used to. And I'm still learning things every single day. I'm not a pro operations to say anything by the least, but still working on that, just getting better every day. But with sales experience, it's very hands-on, a bunch of supports. I take up like very like humbly, I think I do a good job on like making sure everyone has everything that they need to be successful within the department, because at the end of the day, like I was a sales rep and I don't want, like, I always think if I'm that sales rep submitting this ticket, how would I feel if that was me? So if they submit a ticket about one thing and you get like a half-ass answer, I'm just like, well, would I be okay with that answer? Probably not. So I always try to train the team on what's the best way to frame the update, how to give them the proper answer. Also, what is actually going on with that project? Is it good, or do we need to do further follow-ups within the team to get that project pushed forward? So a little bit of both. It's like definitely a big department to train on because we need to know pretty much everything. as far as like process wise, but not so like in depth where we know how to fill applications and stuff like that. But just overall, the general gist of each department.
It's it's a pretty technical role, but then it's also sales. Like, it requires a ton of empathy, which I think is why you're a perfect leader in this. Similar to, Tyler, myself, like Zane, Mikey, Pat. Like, one of the things I always say about like founding this company is that, like, we've all sat at hundreds of kitchen tables. We've all done that, right? We've all done that front end experience of working with customers. And I think it's really, really hard for people, if you've never done that, to put yourself in the shoes of the sales rep, because there's a ton of steps. They don't need to know every single step. And I think the goal with SX, like, it's not magic. I think sometimes sales reps are like, yeah, like, push my project. And it's like, poof, it's done. Like, yay. It's like, it's not magic. But if SX is doing its job, if CX is doing its job, it should feel like magic, right? Just because there's a million things going on and a million things that can go wrong and like all of this from the sales and customer experience, that shouldn't really touch them at all in a perfect world. When this is fully realized, it should feel like magic. It should feel like walking into Disney World and it's like, boom, it got installed. How did it happen? I have no idea, but it did, and it's perfect, right? So I think that's like the culmination of what like you and Dean are really angling at, is like to create that magical experience. So sales reps are like, oh.
Yeah, the ideal situation is sales rep goes in the house, they close the deal, they submit the deal, they get the survey done, they get the SOW, they approve it, and then like they don't even have to ask any questions about that project. They get the text that permits are submitted, install scheduled, inspection approved, and then they're up and running. Like, that is the ideal process. And if we could get as little communication from sales reps as possible, then one, either systems are very, very good, which is the goal, or two, the sales rep just doesn't communicate lots about the project, which is fine. Some people don't need to. Some people, they do need to be on top of their stuff. But yeah, like, ideal situation, ideal scenario is once everything's submitted, everything's done perfectly, there's no hiccups, everything's smooth, and it's installed and activated like literally within 60 to 90 days. So that's the ideal process. I don't think we have a handful, I would say a good percent of our jobs are like that, but then there's also the one-off situations where we're working in different utilities and different cities and different types of projects. So there's always like a lot of moving parts with it.
Yeah, and it's this idea that's growing. Actually, I've seen this growing like this industry-wide, because like when we were in sales, it was like you're doing everything. Like we did everything, right? Like you're doing literally every single thing. You're like basically the project manager. And with the launch of SX, like we're taking some of that off, but then we're also launching some things like Chance. We're about to have on a podcast. Chance has his own basically like personal assistant that's kind of like, I think it going as far as like scheduling surveys for him and doing the communication actually directly with Eric's team. And that's actually where I see this industry going, at least. Well, that's where I see us going, so that's where the industry will go, basically.
And some dealers already kind of do this.
And some
it's
dealers
a very alluring place to work if you don't have to do as much management.
Because that's really the goal, and I think it's good for the customers, I think it's good for the companies, and I think it's great for the sales reps of, look, focus on selling, focus on signing customers up, and then have full confidence that once that project is signed up, we're going to do everything in our power to control that experience and make it as good as it possibly can be and seamless. And, ultimately it takes a lot of the variability out of it. There's 300 sales reps. It's hard to contain an experience across 300 different people and cadences and everything. But when you take it, kind of internalize it, you can control a lot more. You can test things a lot more. You can actually kind of craft and curate the best experience, which, is what I think we'll walk out of 2022 with that done. It's a massive, initiative and goal this year, and it's hard, but all the pieces are in place basically to like make it happen. It's just it's executed right now.
Yeah, I think our team is strengthening. It's particularly strengthened here at the start of 2022 with some amazing hires. And I think it takes a company like ours that became our sales org. Now we're everything. to think about the sales as being so important and so special to get someone to go solar is an amazing thing. You wanna give them that great experience. So, I think with what we're doing right now, it's super important, all these systems, all these things, but things keep changing. And the one thing that is, going to be here is our people. And I think, we've got the right people involved. I'm so excited that Eric is kind of the face of this SX department, because he couldn't be a better representative of what we're doing at Better Earth and how we, think about Better Earth ethically and how we really want to position ourselves in the industry. So one, Eric, thanks for grinding, the hell with us in this thing. And I know you're still selling solar, and you got 6 installs this month, one of our top producers, even though he's working as an SX.
Yeah.
So man, you're like glue, so I'm super thankful for you. Really cool that we got to have you on the podcast too. And, hopefully it's the first of a lot of SX content coming here in 2022, and we're going to get filming later today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys. I would say the last thing I want to talk about is some of the exciting growth that we're about to experience with the new onboarding of Carl now in the dealer department, and then also Jarrell also joining sales experience with lots of his expertise. Yeah, huge wins there, huge hires there. And I think what's really cool with them is they went through tremendous growth from a few hundred deals to over 1,500 deals just in a couple years. They got that much growth. But that was them doing everything from scratch. And then now they're coming into our systems to see, damn, this shit's actually pretty cool. Or this doesn't work. We need to get this fixed. And I'm excited to see how quickly we go from the 600 deals that we're doing now to 2,000 deals. And you guys probably know more than me, but I think we're probably going to get that probably towards the end of this year, probably August, September time. We'll definitely be doing over 1,000, 2,000 deals per month. And
we're going to do over 1,000 in March.
Yeah, so...
This is the NBA of solar, both internally and externally. We will do 1,000 total in March, guaranteed.
That's sweet.
And then what's also super
It's
exciting
a lot of tickets.
Hopefully not. Hopefully everything by then is very clean and organized. But for as far as my view and what I know, what I can control, there's a lot of wins and exciting things coming out just specifically with sales experience. And I know I'm not the only department that's growing and looking for improvements. We also have software and tech and everything else coming out, dealers, onboarding, all this other stuff, project review, permitting, activation, inspections, installs, all this stuff. So we're all collectively as a company, each department is leveling up. So as we go forward through this year, as we all take that one step forward, we all level up, everything is going to get better. So timelines will get shorter, experiences will get better, we'll have way more people on board, we'll have way more people that work for us, that employ us, so we're able to help more families work and get jobs and provide income for, and then also more families that we can help serve and help them go solar and save money too. So I think overall it's very exciting to see not just one department grow and scale, just specifically sales, but to see every single department in Better Earth also moving up and always striving for excellency. And that's something that, one, I'm super stoked about, because I'm excited to see us hit the 4-number deal per month. So
Me too.
Yeah, the 4-digit number.
It's
soon
coming.
To be 5-digit number.
It's coming. Trace, you got anything to wrap this thing up?
Now let's send it.
Cool. Thanks,
Appreciate it,
Eric.
Eric.
Great job.
Thanks, boys.